Hey, what's good, y'all? Welcome to the Next Block, episode 90. You see, we got a special guest with us today. What's good, Crypto for Change? What's good, Rich Flair?
What's good, everybody?
What's up? What's up? How good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Yes, good to see you and everyone. Make sure you hit that like button, share it with a friend on Twitter. We about to go up today.
Heck yeah, for sure. And obviously, thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to you guys. Make sure, like I said, hit that like button, hit subscribe, go and retweet, post, whatever you do on Twitter. Get everybody in here. We're gonna take over and we're gonna make Cooper Daniels wonder where the hell all his viewers just went. So make sure you pull them all over here. We're more entertaining. But no, it's definitely a good time for us altcoin holders, which I know most of the people in our audience, are and are looking forward to a hopeful alt season coming soon. But we can't start out the show right now without talking about Big Daddy Bitcoin because it's having its day. It's time in the sun. So, obviously ETF are approved. And most, all of them, pretty sure. I think there's like, 11, 10 of these ETFs now that are out there trading, a lot of volume. And obviously, we saw Bitcoin this morning run all the way up to, I think it was like, it touched 49K, I'm pretty sure. Which is pretty explosive. And then I think what we had happen was the CPI, inflation kind of came in a little hot above expected. And we've since seen a sharp little drop back down to 45, 46K. But yeah, it's definitely exciting. What do you guys think?
I'm personally pretty excited. I'm bullish after hearing the co-founder of Ethereum speak, Kathy Wood speak, Brian Armstrong talk this morning. I think there's a lot of positive sentiment. Some of the key factors is obviously Bitcoin is a store of value. You can use it as collateral currency. You have new pools of capital, and then you're able to access different investors to Bitcoin, which leads to a funnel of other cryptocurrencies to fall in line.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting
Yeah.
too because so many new people, just like Wall Street's here to sell. They're going to sell these ETFs, and they already are today like crazy. But something I think psychology wise that's going to be interesting is so many people who are probably going to be buying these shares are not really probably maybe they are, maybe they know what Bitcoin is and they've been following everything, but they're not going to be looking at the price of Bitcoin. They're going to be looking at the price of these shares, and I think that's going to be something totally different, psychological wise when it comes to the price of Bitcoin and where it's going to go, because you're going to put people buying these things and they're just buying shares that are priced at a totally different value than dollar wise than what the price of Bitcoin is. So I think that's kind of bullish for for the new money that's coming in. And like you said, I mean, you got Kathy Wood, Armstrong, everybody is literally talking about Bitcoin right now. Definitely giving vibes of 2021 when I was first getting into crypto. 2020, I guess you could say, was when I first got in. But it's starting to feel really bullish. But it's also got me a little nervous, like especially with Bitcoin. I mean, I had some people, shout out to some friends who are messaging me asking, hey, should I be dropping X into Bitcoin or X into Ethereum or this much more into Algo? And I'm like, just take a breath. Let the news settle in. You don't need to FOMO right now. Nibble, right? Dollar cost average in. Don't ape, because the second, I guarantee there's a bunch of people who probably bought in for the first time at 48, 49K thinking, oh, we're going to 57, we're going to 60, we're going to 100K, today. And they're already down. Their priorities starting to second guess, like, oh no, are we hitting the top? So you definitely got to be patient with these things and let the news play out. Because you also got Kramer out here saying that this ain't the top for Bitcoin. I mean, that right there is screaming we might be at the
He's
top
Mr.
for
Top
Bitcoin.
Caller.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's dangerous when Kramer is talking about top prices and whatnot. But a cool thing I did see with the Bitcoin ETF, BlackRock got their commercials coming out. Some of the other ones, one of them looks like a boomer commercial, the way they're explaining it to the older generation of how to, you don't have to worry about all the intricacies of taking care your custody of your Bitcoin. We'll do it for you for a small fee, and that's what they're used to. So I think the inflows are about to be crazy. I was looking up some of the ETF tickers today. They got a HODL, IBTC, and I like some of the names. I think it's going up. Good signs for crypto for sure.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's going to be huge for the rest of cryptocurrency, and that's why I'm like super bullish, and I think it's a win-win for everybody, is that one of the barriers to entry is one, you don't know crypto, and you don't know how speculative it is in general, and people are too scared to already invest in regular things outside of crypto. But what this does is it takes away the barrier to entry. It
Mm,
allows you not to worry about having mnemonic passphrases to be written down and kept, or you lose your money. You don't have to worry about being a strategist and keeping up with the market. You can allow
Hmm.
yourself to join one of these, firms that do this professionally, buy into what they're doing, and then
mm,
have a safer hedge against what you're investing in. Obviously, Bitcoin right now, but this is going to lead to more things. And the
yeah.
biggest thing is not having to worry about your passwords. That's the biggest thing that I have a problem with as
Yes.
far as onboarding new people is they're like, wait a minute, I can't call nobody if I lose my password or I have my password. I'm like, yeah, that's it, you're done.
Yeah.
And just right there, they're almost like, you know what? I don't know if I want to be a part of this because I can barely be responsible for my regular passwords for my social media, let alone for all my money. This is a huge victory for everybody involved, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Mentioning that, what did you guys think of because we got to mention it, Gary Gensler, hashtag fire Gary Gensler more like, but it's so interesting. There's so much to unpack with this week as far as like the fake announcement, right? They say they got hacked, and maybe two-faced authenticator or whatever it is, they didn't have it set up and whatnot. I've heard all the stories, but it's just funny that happens. They tweet out, goes live saying, hey, Bitcoin spot ETFs. Obviously, we see the volatility. And then they say, hey, we got hacked, pulled it. Everybody knowing that probably the next day we're going to get the official announcement. But even then, digging deeper, I thought it was very interesting to see who approved it, right? And the one possible swing vote that actually got it approved was Gary Gensler. And it's like, for someone who has been so against this stuff, and the two that voted against it, he could have voted no and he could have delayed it. And honestly, I'll go back to an interview or a chat I had with Tony from Thinking Crypto maybe back in October when we were just starting to get these ETF news. Oh, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? I was under the camp that they are going to delay this thing as long as they possibly can because they can make so much more money on the volatility of the news, trading. So I honestly thought we wouldn't see it fully approved till March. I stand corrected. I did give a chance for January, but I didn't. I thought maybe something screwy would happen and it would end up getting pushed till the March deadline, but we didn't. And it's just funny to see that Gary Gensler is one of the ones who was for it and actually wanted to see these approved. And it'll be interesting to see, how his story continues to evolve for as much longer he is in the SEC.
Well, yeah, I would
Yeah,
add
I,
too.
I think like
You look at Larry Fink at BlackRock, and then who else was it? JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, right? They were just talking about how Bitcoin is for criminals and money laundering. And I'm like, where did all that talk go now that it's approved? It's all good now. No more money laundering. I
I
don't
know
know.
he made a comment. He was on TV yesterday, still saying that he sees no value in
Yeah.
Bitcoin. Jamie Dimon, I'm speaking of, but it's like, bro, you've literally had to pay fine after fine for sex trafficking going on in your bank, in your own bank, money laundering, all the illegal stuff that's happened there. Like, don't even make us uncover. Like, it's laughable to see someone like him who he's got so many skeletons hiding in his closet trying to throw shade on Bitcoin. They're scared, right? Because here's the thing. They don't
Yes.
want they want to earn the fees. Right now, they have the system that earns all the fees off people moving money and needing to transact. And the last thing they want is those fees to move into Bitcoin and then flow into Ethereum and DeFi and all
Mhm.
these other things where at that point, if you're not set up and ready, you're losing out. Even the Bitcoin ETFs, that there's a lot of fees that are going to be earned off people trading this.
Yeah.
And banks don't want to lose that either. They want to make sure they got their hands in the right spot. So it's very interesting to say the least.
Yeah, I'm interested just because, one, Gary in the beginning, you saw the old clip of him talking about Uber being built on top of Algorand. So you already knew that he felt like crypto was a good idea and there's a lot of use cases. Obviously, he's trying to be very conservative and trying to say that people can be ripped off with scams. And we can easily, showcase all the scams that have been written in real life with businesses and banks and what they've been doing. I think one thing that
Mhm.
interests me though, that I felt like the BTC ETF was going to become relevant fast was because starting the year they had the Epstein list come out, And once that
Yep.
Epstein list come out, was a lot of prominent people on there. And since it's come out, there's been a bunch of larger world economic issues that have gone on either outside of this country, wars, things in South America that are happening now, the border control issue, and there's several other things. So I think anything to distract from
Mm,
that list from prominent political figures, and then just giving us what everybody kind of wanted was that BTC ETF, was just another thing that was gonna make sure that we keep our mind off of what's being reported in the news. So I think that's really huge. And I would also say too that this is actually bigger, because we're onboarding more money into the ecosystem
Mm,
indirectly, that you can actually cause more volatility because now that excess money isn't going to a million different unique wallet addresses. It's
mm,
being funneled into maybe 4 or 5 different larger investment firms, and then they're handling that cash flow. So you
mm,
can even make an argument that they can still make volatility happen. And I think at least what I've said before is I expect whatever the crypto price is at the end of 2023. I expect a 10% decrease and all the pricing just to be extra bullish going in 2025 as the newer
mm.
firms that we haven't even heard of jump in there with their money and kind of
mm.
get access to this BTC ETF.
Speaking on that, what are your all's short term, right? I'm thinking like this quarter, maybe into next for the, because we have the halving coming up possibly in April, right? So this was the big news for Bitcoin. What is, what are your all's thoughts on the price action for Bitcoin over the next, 1 to 3 months leading into the halving? Do you, I'll go ahead and give mine. And this is something I feel like I've said, many times on Twitter and even on other interviews, but I feel like 50K, maybe 57, right? I think we could get a really bullish move upwards to that higher range of the fib retracements. I mean, there's a lot of people who chart way smarter than me. I'm not going to bring up a chart and try to talk about it, but a lot of them show that 50 to 57K area as like a local blow off top. And I could easily see something like that, right? With this momentum that Bitcoin has. But I would not be surprised to see a retracement back down to the 25, 35K area for Bitcoin after we see that top. And then we have the halving, and something macro could happen, right? There could be something, a swan event that could be the leading factor in that. I don't know. I'm not saying that. Honestly, I just think a healthy correction, even Bitcoin in the last bull run saw many 30% corrections, 20 to 30% corrections on its run up. So it would not surprise me to see it run to 57 and then drop down to 30, 31K and then run up to 60, and have those gyrations. But that's more or less where I'm at. And that's why I think the bullish case for alts in that scenario is we get Bitcoin above 50K and it stays above 50K and trades sideways upwards, enough to get that liquidity to flow from the Bitcoin to the ETH, then to the alts. And we have that alt season. And then I think there's going to be a crash of almost everything heading into Q2, Q3. Summer is not going to be, it's not going to be DeFi summer or crypto summer this summer. I think that might be next year. What are your all's thoughts?
I
Go ahead,
personally
Reach.
think that yeah, I think that you could be correct. I think there's a lot of possibilities that play in when you have larger companies coming in and gobbling up more BTC. I think like I looked at the market this morning and I counted 47 cryptocurrencies that are at least up by 1% in the last 7 days. So you're going into this news the last 7 days of all the speculation. And if you look at all the events that we like were definitely going to pump up, we're definitely going to go forward. Let's invest. It's almost been the opposite, because the big money knows that they can capitalize on top of these FOMO feelings. And I still think it can go down a lot just because we think it's supposed to automatically go up. So I'm definitely on the halving. I think it's another one of those events where they will capitalize on all the speculation and the hype, and people will buy into it, and then the price will drop after April, and then we'll start to see a little bit of manipulation until after the summer, and then we get back into 2024, which is an election year. Then we'll start to see more things going forward, and once the United States government actually comes out and says anything that's at least decent about crypto, I think that it should be taken less with a grain of salt and more with a scoop of salt, and get really excited because I mean it's coming. We just don't know when to buy in, when we're gonna get these flows. So all in all, I think a long-term holder from any point in Bitcoin, You're going to go up eventually. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah. Do you think Bitcoin sees a new all-time high in 2023, or do you reserve that for 2024, or do you reserve that for maybe next year in 2025?
2025 for sure. 2024 is going to be a manipulation year, and we're going to see how larger money, big money plays with crypto. And 2024 is going to be a whole year of them playing with crypto and finding the right type of investment strategies for them, because they're looking for themselves. And they're looking for the how they can get the best bang for their buck, buy crypto at its lowest point, and then capitalize on our fears and FOMOs on them getting all that profit. So I think 2024 is a manipulation year with the halving, and then 2025 we might ride into the sunset, fellas.
Dang, I like that manipulation year. I feel like sums it up pretty damn well, because that's the thing you get. If you look back to the last bull run, especially with COVID, there was a lot of crazy swings in the market where you just had all-time highs and everything dropped, and then in 2 months everything dropped like wild, and then literally 3-4 months later everything was back to new all-time highs. And I definitely think you could see not all-time highs, but that volatility, that market manipulation is going to be real, especially if you're in alts, right? If Algorand, our favorite darling child, if it runs to 50 cents, 70 cents, you're going to have people saying, I ain't selling, it's going to $5. And then they're going to be pissed when it falls back down to 20 something cents. And they're going to be like, what the is going on? It's, there's going to be all that stuff that you have.
I've already said if Algorand hits back to $2, which my original buy price was $1.55 3 years ago, that I'll just log off Twitter. I'm good. I'm straight. I'll just log right off Twitter, and you ain't got to worry about my opinion anymore, and we're gonna be good to go. I'll be in the comments of YouTube channels.
There you go. There you go.
So this is what I see. I'm thinking a little bit more bullish, right? We got what we wanted. So I see, when's the halving? About April. I see Bitcoin touching about 70K around the halving time, right? The halving I see as a ceiling of resistance, then it drops back down to that 45, 50 range, maybe 38,000. And then we see a new bottom at 38 to 42,000. And then that's the new bottom for Bitcoin. That's what I'm saying. But yes, I think manipulation, because though Jamie Dimon's a hater, he loves great assets. Like if you look at the JP Morgan stock, it's doing crazy numbers right now. So he want to keep, some of that on his balance sheet. I'm always talking about Michael Saylor. They got the new accounting, I forgot what it's called, new accounting ways they're going to be accounting the Bitcoin as an asset on the balance sheet. It's coming out. So that's going to help out a lot more companies like Tesla to put Bitcoin back on the balance sheet, right? And then this is my suggestion for Algorand. Talk about that. I told Crypto for change this over text. Algorand needs to take some of those algos that they're collecting on fees, like what happened with the orange and all that, all the fees going to the fee sink. Algorand needs to start buying Bitcoin, right? And once you start to get the Hedera's, the Algorands, the AVAXs also buying Bitcoin, it becomes that reserve asset that we all want. So I'm seeing 70 April, crash back down 38 or so, and then we off to the races in 25. That's what I see.
Yeah, it would be interesting. It would be a new all-time high, and you technically have the with the ETF, that's the demand, right? The demand is there now. Like they have the product to sell, they can push it, and then the halving creates the shock to the supply, right? Because then the rewards that the miners are getting is halved, and you're definitely if the price of Bitcoin does not go up, then the miners are going to not be in profit, right? It's going to be a lot harder to maintain security for the network. So that's where the manipulation, it's going to have to be manipulated to a certain extent to make sure these companies like Mara and Marathon and all the other ones that are out there that have these massive mining farms are actually going to continue to help keep the network secure. So it's definitely going to be an interesting 2024. And just, like I said, some basic, and this is just my thoughts from being from the last, start of the last bull run, 2020 till now, is my word of advice is just don't FOMO, right? Even in a bull market, you have to have your strategy. My strategy is still dollar cost average. Don't just ape in all at one price point. Ease into your positions, and just like you ease in when it starts to run, if you even think about, I want to make a post and flex how good this asset's doing, that make your post, right? Take your screenshot, post it on Twitter, post it wherever you post, but take some profit when you make that post. Pay yourself back, because I almost can guarantee you the next day or the next week, it's going to be lower than what you took the picture at, and you're going to be able to buy more. So just like you scale in, you got to learn to scale out, because there's all the people who are going to be fooled again, just like I was fooled in the mini assets to diamond hand, that you have to buy these things and not sell. And for Bitcoin, honestly, it may be the thing you just diamond hand and you never sell. Like if it becomes what it's truly going to be, what it's setting out to become. But for a lot of these alts, if you're especially playing speculative bets, if you're up 50, 60, 80% in a day or 2 days or a week, take profit, because they can go down fast.
I'm interested. Joseph Lubin, who's a co-founder of ETH, he said yesterday about, that I thought was pretty interesting, that Ethereum is a more developed ecosystem than BTC, and obviously BTC got the nod before them. So and if you go into the ecosystem of Bitcoin, it's not hugely developed. They have a couple things going, and I enjoy it. I'm invested in it as well, but ETH does have a more robust ecosystem, whether you like it or not, or whether you like the dApps or not. They do have a lot more developers, more people building. So I'm interested to see if ETH ETF will be approved this year, or maybe in the first or second quarter of 2024, and how that will kind of add pressure to the price of Bitcoin as well, because we could possibly see within the next 6 months, ETH is right there, and maybe even something like Solana jumping up, because they've had a huge run up. Whether it's VC money or not, there's a lot of money involved. So we might just see a snowball effect, getting a couple ETFs approved this year, and that kind of adds to the speculation and volatility, and maybe competition between those three amongst the normal people outside of crypto. So I think a very interesting year for sure.
I am here for it.
I'll add some context too, because I always think about this. Like Ethereum, if you shop at Costco, right? Ethereum is like Costco. That's how big that thing is. Like, and then you got Bitcoin is, Tesla, right? So I see Tesla, Costco, Bitcoin, and Ethereum can all do a double or triple the way, the economy is moving. Things are getting tight, but these assets are going up. Jerome Powell is lowering the interest rate. So the macro environment in terms of for investors is looking real good, so got me hyped. And if we get a Ethereum ETF, yeah, I'm seeing all-time highs in Ethereum for sure.
Yeah,
like
I would say,
even though those fees suck to move ETH anyway, it's terrible. But
I definitely think if we start immediately, like just on the heels, if we start seeing, Cathie Wood and ARK and BlackRock start talking about ETH ETFs and trying to get those pushed through, and actual applications being submitted, that could definitely fuel a really crazy 2024, especially if it's on a, if they could get approved fast, like in the next 3 to 6 months. I think that would be insane. I'm still in the boat that that would happen next year. Let's see how the Bitcoin ETFs perform. But I'm definitely there for it. I mean, I've got my plays. Not really, I don't really use ETH in a lot of things like Uniswap or Aave and a lot of those things because of how high they are. But I do see the a possibility of some of these layer twos that are cheaper. Because I remember when I first got into crypto, like I tried Ethereum, I just couldn't do it. Like I wanted to hop on the meme coins and the exciting projects, but when I was going to swap $100 and gonna have to pay 20, 30 in fees because the market was hot, you're literally at that point being like, man, I gotta hit a 40% return just to make back the fee I paid, and that's not on top of so that's the thought. But when you look at Metis, when you look at Optimism, Arbitrum, a lot of these other ones, Base, I'm really bullish on Base, and I think that who's the custodian of all of these ETFs is Coinbase. So if you're not bullish on Base, the layer two, I don't know, that kind of would blow my mind, but it's super cheap. I can jump into meme coins. I can send my ETH on Base, and it's super cheap. Maybe $1, $2 here. That's nothing for me. I know Algorand, we're still a lot cheaper with it being pennies, but you have to look at the big picture. And that's where I do believe there are going to be a lot of narratives that could play out over the next, year into where I believe the real top for this cycle is going to come. A super cycle is what I would call it's going to happen in 2025.
Well, and I think too that
so what do y'all think about?
I was just going to say that
go ahead. I'll see my joke next.
No, the onboarding process is going to be a lot easier because the normies won't have to go through those transaction fees. They can invest straight through to the market, buy shares, and they won't even know deeper blockchain technology. They'll just say, yeah, I'm invested into Bitcoin, or yeah, I'm invested into Ethereum. but they won't even know the nuance of being involved in the community like we are. They'll just take it from just the surface and be able to collect. So I think that it's huge. I think it's huge. It's huge with the transactions not being a part of the everyday normie's life.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yes. And I would say my question to y'all, what is Gary Gensler's record right now? I would say he about 0-2, 0-3. You know, he
And
lost
everything.
against
He's just
beat,
taking L's
yeah,
left and right.
yes.
Dude, he's a Jim Cramer
XRP beat
clone.
him. Yep. Yeah, he's doing bad. All right.
Yeah.
So do y'all want to pull up some pricing or one of these articles before we go to our break?
I was just going to say you could pull up the Coin Market Cap. We could take a look at some of the prices. I know for a fact.
We'll talk Algorand after the break.
Yeah, and one of the things right before we go to that I'll just say, and this is a plug on just the, if you're looking for something crazy that I think could really pop off, and that's the thing is there's going to be so many things that will pop off because of narratives that take off. And you talk about onboarding, right? The next, billion users, and what is, Coinbase, that is their goal, to onboard the next billion users into crypto. And so how are these people going to get onboarded? I look back to the last bull run. What brought people the most into holding crypto and wanting to buy it? And, everybody can take a laugh here at my own expense, but it's meme coins. Meme coins are going to be the thing that bring community people in, the normies in, right? Because there's people who are holding Bitcoin and ETH, but they're getting 5%, 20%, 100, 60% returns over the year. But then you're going to have these people start to come up who are making thousands of percent returns on these meme coins. And we already saw it with Solana. Solana started heating up, and what took off more than anything? Bonk, Whiff, all the meme coins that were over on Solana. So, I'm not saying, definitely not going to say, throw your money into meme coins, but you should be watching that space to see, even if it's $5, $10, anything could turn into something big. One of the ones I'm watching is Base. Base has a meme coin, just like Shiba Inu, when Binance really took off. I think when Base's layer 2 takes off, Toshi, which is funny enough, it's the name of Brian Armstrong's cat. He actually has two, Toshi and Moki. I got a little bag of each, and I'm ready for that because I guarantee you we're going to see the next Doge, Shib, Pepe, all those things are going to run hot when ETH starts to take off. And people like that alone will onboard a lot of people because you'll get so many people who FOMO in because they're like, hey, I can, they want to chase it, right? They want to chase these gains.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Pepe does.
Oh yeah, it'll still run. I mean, Coinbase hasn't even listed
Dogeline Mars. I want to see Dogeline Mars and all those random ones.
It's fun. It's fun to chase those things.
All right, so let's hit the commercial break, and then we'll come back and focus on Algorand on the second half of this show. So see y'all in a moment. Hey, y'all, we back on the Next Blocks episode 90. We got Rich Flair TV here with us. What's good again, y'all? Let's dive in and talk about some Algorand right now. The
Yeah,
first one, definitely let's pull up this story here real quick.
and one of the
Hedera and
stories, yeah.
let me pull it up. There we go.
Yeah,
I
yeah, this
missed
is a
it.
big one. It kind of goes back to even what Rich Flair was saying earlier with like the onboarding, right? And people were just worried about,
Mhm.
holding their own assets and the security of it. This is huge. Obviously, there's a lot of big leaders in the Algorand or in the obviously Algorand, but in the bigger, broader crypto space over in Switzerland at a conference. And yesterday, John Woods and Lehman Baird, who is the CEO of Hedera, announced a joint partnership in this DRAC, I think is what it is, or DREC, which is the scroll down a little bit, or Decentralized Recovery for Digital Assets Alliance. Which is to me is super super bullish because it's let me see here. I'm going to bring up, if you scroll down a little bit, it says, according to the two
Yeah.
decentralized finance executives, the DRAC Alliance aims to streamline the process of securing and recovering digital assets, aligning with conventional Web 2 experiences. And that right there, just like you were saying earlier, Rich Flair, is like when people lose a password, they can call somebody, they can do something to recover those assets. And in crypto land, it's not like you start showing people the 12 seed or the 24 seed phrase, and you're like, protect this with your life, don't lose it, and even then, obviously everybody in the Algorand community saw the my algo hack, which was something that you didn't even, you didn't lose your keys, but something happened behind the scenes that got that money from you, maybe. But it's like there does need to be more security and the ability to recover assets, if it's lost. And this is something too. I was kind of excited. I know they're gone pretty much now. I'm almost for certain. But there was a project building in the Algorand ecosystem and had a good amount of money. I'm dropping the name of it right now. What was it?
Vendible.
Vendible. There we go. They were coming up with an idea, on how to, put your unique ID, and I don't even know all the stuff. They had a lot of big words and a lot of big things they were going to do, but it failed, right?
Trustable, vendible.
Yeah, trustable, vendable, all
Vendible.
those. But
Trustable, vendable. That's ironic.
yeah, I still have all my trustable NFTs sitting in my
Same.
in a random wallet. So, but at the end of the day, we want that, right? And we need that. And this is interesting to see what I would say is two of the biggest enterprise grade level blockchains. Two of them and both of them have their uniqueness about them and what they provide, and the people backing them. But it's huge to see these two working together, and that makes me super bullish for Algorand.
Now, do you guys feel like there's some type of like it's definitely unique that when the BTC ETF news drop in speculation, Algo follows suit with the HBAR alliance that deals with also allowing the user to have a very easy entrance to cryptocurrency, almost like where they go, so does Algorand and some of the partnerships are going. I thought that's really really unique.
I mean, yeah, you have to know that the Algorand Foundation, the Hedera Foundation, all these chains they're watching Bitcoin, and when big things happen on Bitcoin, they want to ride, everything's riding the coattails, right? It's got to, you have to make a splash somewhere to capture that momentum. And I remember that in the last bull run, there were so many even though Algorand was so brand new and didn't have hardly anything, it was, there were so many big things marketing wise they were doing to help, when ETH would make a big move or when Bitcoin would make a big move or a big news, they were putting something out, and that's happening again. And like I say, it is bullish, but at the end of the day, you do still have to, remember that a lot of this is still so new that we don't really know entirely what it means, right? They're just announcing an alliance that they're going to create something. This isn't a product. It's kind of the announcement of something to come, but we don't know what that thing is. It's just like it's meant to make the experience easier and better, almost like a Web 2 experience for recovering of digital assets if they're lost. So it is exciting, but you do have to tame those expectations of what this could be and what this means, because we don't really know much other than just like
In the
they're working together.
in the famous words of Stacey Warden, top 5 in 2025, Algorand.
That's what she
I'm here
said.
for it.
Yes, I'm
I'm here
like,
for it
Stacey,
too.
make it happen. We supporting that, One more. Let's pull this one up. Our guy Silvio here, just getting recognized. So anytime Silvio McCauley, founder of Algorand, for those who don't know, is in the media and the news, the Algorand community gets very excited because he doesn't talk much to us. So we're hoping to have Silvio up on the show on the 100th episode sometime in March, and then maybe Silvio will talk to us live on the show here. So
It's not maybe, it's gonna happen. That's the week of my birthday, so we're gonna make sure I'm gonna do everything I can to bring that man on our show. We're gonna have some fun. But nonetheless, yeah, bring up the article there. He is gonna be getting inducted, not really inducted, but he's gonna be winning an award, to say the least. I don't know so it comes up here.
A little slow today on my internet, so excuse me.
No worries. So January 30th in Brussels, the International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications will recognize Silvio McCauley for his significant contributions to the blockchain industry as part of their annual awards. I think this is still really big because there is still, like, if you remember that interview, I remember the conference where it was Silvio on stage and you had Anatoly from Solana, you had the guy, I can't pronounce his name,
Conference.
Near, well, yeah, Salt Conference, but you had the guy from Near, the creator of Near, and Silvio just, it was funny hearing him talk next to those guys because you could just tell he was in a league of his own as far as knowledge of the space, and like hearing some of the things that they were, these young guys were saying, and he's just like, I mean, yeah, I could fake and do all this, but what does that actually do for us? We have the industry grade here now, and I think this award it just speaks volumes to the fact that Algorand is fit for purpose. Algorand is fit for real enterprise, I would say industry grade technology that can be used now. And we just had TravelX on our show last week, and we heard all about what they're doing with airline tickets and being digital assets. And it's like, you can't do that on Solana. You can't do it on Ethereum right now. You can't do it on a lot of these other chains. It can only be done on things that are fast, secure, scalable, like I would say like Algorand. And I do think, there are others, Hedera, Cardano, Near, there are other ones out there that are interesting, but when it comes down to it, their creators aren't getting these awards, right? They're not being recognized for the brilliance of what they've built yet.
No, when you look at, like, when I was looking up Silvio, you got the Turing Award. That means he really do math. He's really a blockchain expert, and this is a part of the reason why one can speculate that's why he's not that great at podcasting and talking and things of that nature. He works, right? And then we got John Woods. He come by and do a little bit of both. He funny, he can speak well, but he also builds too. So I think, shout out to Stacy, but that's a great addition to bring in as someone who can speak a lot. But again, everyone in the community, tag Silvio. He coming on for the 100th episode on the next block. Manifestation is real. We got Stacy coming up on the 25th, so we're gonna push her to help us out as well.
Yeah,
big.
And also, everybody go find our Twitter. I was reaching out to the Hedera Foundation about getting somebody on the channel, so go out and hit that comment up from mine, cryptoforchange.coop right now. And also, I thought it was interesting. I just want to say one more tweet that I saw this morning for Algorand was Anthony Scaramucci, our darling VC that kind of just disappeared for the last bear market, and he's there in Switzerland with Stacy and John Wood sitting at a table saying big things coming for Algo in 2024. Excited to hear, just listen to this, excited to hear all the technical upgrades and projects in the pipeline. So obviously he got wrecked so bad by the Solana debacle and everything else that he hadn't even been able to look at what Algorand's been doing for the past year and a half in this bear market. He's got to learn all about it. I wonder if he still holds his algo. We tried getting him on the channel, on the show a couple months ago, and schedule conflict. It didn't work out. He needs to get a new assistant that can actually schedule him better. But it's interesting, and I'm harsh on this guy because it's interesting when these VCs start making these tweets, like, where you been all bear market, and now you're excited about algo at when the bull market starts to come back around. Exactly. And the thing is, I told him, I said, give me an apology for your tweet at Algorand when it was like at 220, 240, don't sell your algo in the book and all the stuff that you kind of sold us and then just dipped, right? You're not a true believer.
Put that .algo back too.
Yeah.
There you go.
Become a real part of the Algorand community.
Right.
But nonetheless, it is exciting.
Yes.
So let's talk about what a lot of people want to hear today is about governance. So Rich Flair, we're gonna lead to you a little bit and tell us what you know. So right now we are in governance 10 is just starting. We got a few more days for everyone to sign up. In traditional governments, we'll also show you Messina's website as well. But Rich Flair, we're gonna pass it to you, and then you update the folks and the people about governance and XGovs as best as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. So once again, appreciate you, Sewell and Crypto for Change, for allowing me to come on and chat about governance. I think this is a huge step forward. Anybody that's been in Algorand for at least the end of 2022 and the beginning of 2023, there was a transition in between those 6 months. And I think one really cool part about the governance is that it's slowly been getting better. And I think that's the most important thing. As time goes by, it's gotten better. We're still a ways of getting it to where things are a lot better, but in general, I think it's gotten a lot better from the beginning of 2023. Going into 2024, like you said, this is Governor Period number 10. Some of the things that I've learned that um, that there all the rewards that are coming out to DeFi and NFT platforms. These are based on rule sets that have already been put into place and that have been voted on. So it's important to be an XGov to not only just have an opinion in general, but to place that opinion on these forums and be able to vote with your algo. And then also use the forum to just to give everybody your opinion. And I think one of the big things that you have to be knowledgeable, or you have to know a lot about DeFi, or you have to know a lot about NFTs, and you don't. You don't at all. You don't have to be an expert in any of this. You can literally go and go to forum.algorand.org, read up on what's everybody's going on, check out some of the responses, and after a while, you kind of see what's going on. So, just going back to things that I've learned is that when you get these proposals from people like Messina or all the other platforms and DeFi or all the other NFT platforms, you get to see behind the scenes a little bit about what people are talking about, what they're thinking, what they're trying to do with their platform, and it's not about being right or wrong because we'll never get to that, but it is about putting your 2 cents in to try to chip away at what the status quo is. And I think we've seen an uptick in the past week, 2 weeks of putting a little bit of pressure on these platforms to have a more well-developed rewards strategy going forward. Whether it's NFTs and people want a more diverse group being selected, or maybe something going towards marketing, or even on the DeFi side, not just relying on bringing your TVL up and propping that up, but also expanding cross-chain and bringing new people in. So overall, the community sentiment, I get a lot of people that DM me a lot, just based on they don't want their name to be attached to stuff because they don't want either their project to be affected, they don't want their tokens to be affected, or they don't want to mess up their public, image or figure, or maybe even future partnerships. So I try to use this time to explain to everybody at least what the community sentiment is, and I think overall, it's not been a positive one, and not because we're not doing well right now. It's because people have had past experience in 2023. Even though it was growing, it was at a slower pace, and it discouraged a lot of people that were in XGov, that were voting and were putting their time and effort to check all this stuff out, where they didn't feel heard. So, and now, being involved a little bit more now in the beginning of 2024, trying to fish some of those people back into it to say, hey, I get your frustration, definitely understand where you're coming from, but don't give up, don't quit. We need to continue to push. I mean, we're still in the beginning phase of crypto in general, let alone a token that's out of the top 25. So it's very, very important to continue to push forward and give these people a piece of our mind in a constructive way. I try to do my best to scream into the void on Twitter, but now I'm trying to take some of that energy and channel it to the Algorand forums and then push the narrative onto my Twitter account. And I think it's very important to get some of these people who have an opinion, like myself and others, to get involved because, and I'm not going to pick on anybody in particular, but between the NFT platforms, I haven't seen much creativity and a wide spectrum to go outside of rewarding just the creators and buyers. To me, you got to focus on how you can market your own platform. If you're having trouble marketing your own platform, it doesn't matter how much money we give you, and you're not going to be able to grow your product. So first, you got to start there and how you're going to market it. And I'd like to see better plans on how you market yourself and push the envelope, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Discord, whether it's with YouTube influencers, whether it's on other social media platforms, or even in real life events. These are all small, easy ways to push your brand. And we, for at least for me, I can speak for myself and some others in DMs that we've looked at some of these platforms and the progress that they're doing as far as making sure they're active throughout the time period isn't as good as it should be. And some of these people are leaders in the community. We want to like kind of poke the bear a little bit and say, hey man, we like your platform, we like what you're going on, we sure you're a great person, but you got to expose yourself. You got to push your brand out there, because if you're not excited about your brand, who's going to be excited? And that's to me, that's a big issue that we got to focus on. And same thing with DeFi. There's a lot of great people on there that are doing awesome things, and they're trying their best to build, but you can't build 100%. You got to allocate some time to market yourself. And part of the marketing is going cross chain. It's making sure that people are aware that you're alive. It's not just trying to gain, new users from Folks Finance to come over to Tiny Man, or Tiny Man to go over to Folks Finance and compete with the same people. It's actually bringing fresh blood in this place and unique wallets and kind of showing how you're doing that. Don't give blanket statements. And that's the best part about this forum is right now it's not perfect, but we are at least allowed to, give our opinion on what we think is going right or wrong, and then get some feedback. And I give a lot of kudos to the DeFi platforms and the NFT platforms for at least for the ones who are responding, for the ones who are giving back, letting us know, whether we're right or we're wrong, or allowing us to be heard, which is a big thing.
Something I want to ask.
I think, yeah, go ahead.
Is how is because obviously I know XGov is still early in its infancy, right? I mean, governance has been going on for 10, but XGov has not been going on for that long. It took a while to actually get it up and running. How is it for the allocation of funds and actually proposals that are coming in from smaller entities? Maybe not some of these giants. Obviously, I know I'm sure Folks and Messina and Rand and Exa and NF Domains, or whoever it is, some of the bigger names that we know in the space. It's probably easy for them to get an allocation of these rewards to help continue building what they're trying to build for their product. What is it like for some of the smaller projects that are out here trying to hustle, get and make these proposals? What are you seeing over there in that?
Well, if smaller projects want to get involved, I think they got to go through proposals. I think that's the best way to do it, to get funds allocated. I think the rewards, we would have to attack the rule structures and how that's placed in order to make real changes. But I think we're making progress now. We're getting a little more vocal, and people are listening to us and giving it, and saying thanks for the feedback. We'll look into this as far as the next going around, which is very positive. But the way it's set up, even if you look at Rand, they did majority of the NFT sales, but they're trying different things. They included a cap to try to spread out the rewards so it all doesn't go to Rand. And there's pros and cons to even that. So, I mean, there's not going to be one system that fits all. There's not going to be one strategy and rule set that's going to make everybody perfect. But I think that we can all agree on that if you push your product hard enough, you won't have to rely on necessarily rewards to get the ball rolling. Because there's a lot of people that want to support. And there's a lot of things that I've realized just in this voting, either it's XGov or just vanilla governance, that people don't even know still. They're not even aware, and they're active Twitter users. So I think that's a big deal, is get the community champions. If you're an Algorand community champion, like actually getting paid, you need to be spreading the message, talking about the forums, Algorand forums. You need to talk about XGov and proposals and keeping people informed. If you're an NFT protocol that's receiving these rewards, or a DeFi platform that's receiving these rewards, you also need to be a community champion on either hosting Twitter Spaces or getting your community engaged and involved. So that way, people aren't upset when rules are made.
Yeah, something I think that could help as well is having it in a maybe in a centralized server type thing. A better way for people who are in Twitter or on these social media platforms to actually participate without having to go outside of their maybe preferred social network in a way to actually feel a part of it, right? I mean, I know with GitHub and the forum and everything, it's like for a lot of people, it's like they don't want to leave. They don't want to leave Twitter. They don't want to leave, maybe the Algorand governance website. Like having an ability to even have something built into it there, where people could just go to the Algorand governance website and there's a chat or a forum. Like it's just attached to that web page or something. I feel like maybe could help with some people, but and I think a lot of people, you have to look back when governance was started. I mean, most people, and still today, most people, especially in the Algorand ecosystem, if you're in governance, most are just in it because they just want the algo, right? They want to earn the rewards. Obviously, if you're in vanilla governance, or if you're in maybe something like Folks, you have to vote. So you'll go in, you'll do your vote, but at the end of the day, that's all you care about. And then you do have the next level of those X govs, which are like, hey, I'm getting a bigger reward, and I'm going to be playing a bigger role in making these decisions. But I do think to an extent it can be also daunting that if you're not up to speed with all the DeFi and NFTs and everything that can maybe be said in these forums, it's daunting, and it makes you feel like I don't really want to become an XGov because I don't really know how to voice my opinion or voice my thoughts, or I don't feel like I can.
What I would say to that is, Algorand Foundation has got a lot of flack on trying to provide different ways for people to communicate with them. They have a Telegram page. They got a Discord page. They got now an Algorand forum. They also have Folks Finance, which you can go to their forum and discuss more things in future. I personally am a firm believer in this. If you want it, you're going to make it happen. And that needs to be the sentiment for the community. We can no longer just go, hey, I don't know where to go. Things are too difficult. If you want to be a part of the voting, if you want to be a part of the discussion, you're going to find out. You're going to stop creating excuses. And that's probably one of the biggest things that we have is I think that, the last XGov and some of the proposals got passed with less than 30 votes, which is a joke. It's a joke. So, if you're not active, if you're not in these forums, then you can't necessarily complain. And if you jump on these forums, you'll actually start to expose some of the things that we don't like. And I think that some of the people, and I'm not trying to get negative, but I think that it's very important to break up the monotony that's going on in these reward systems. And the reason why they're allowed to let it happen is because the community is not getting involved. They're throwing their hands up in the air and they're saying, my voice isn't going to be heard. My voice is going to be heard. And if people are listening to me, then they'll listen to you. I know my approach is a little bit aggressive or obnoxious, but I want to be heard and I won't take
You
no for
from
an
New
answer.
York? You from New York?
Yeah. So
Y'all keep it
I
straight
like to
up.
make sure that I'm heard. I don't want to be not heard. And I will DM everybody. I will go to Telegram. I will go to Discords. I will go to the forum and I will say what I need to say. And in my experience, I've been heard. People have DM'd me back and forth. It feels great. So it gives me less negative feelings because I know I'm being heard. And if I'm being heard, I know there's many Algorand people in there that will easily be heard. But you got to put the effort in if you want things to change. And it starts now in 2024, because if not, we're going to get left behind. So be involved in our community, jump in there, give your 2 cents, and don't be scared to be right or wrong. I don't have all the answers. I'm not claiming to have all the answers, but I will be vocal and I don't mind being wrong.
Yeah, Rich Flair out here on the campaign right now. He on the next block, preaching as Uncle Sam say. He out here, but at the end of the day, right? It's government or governance, however you want to say it. So you do have to participate. And what I'm getting is, that's why we, happy to have you on. We're researching more, but it's like this is like our local government, right? We got the big government is doing the ETF for us with the Bitcoin, so we don't have to worry about that, right? So what we got to do is lock in on our local government, which will be Algorand for a lot of the viewers on this show. So it makes sense. Go read up if you got some criticism, some suggestions, or some kudos to give. Become an XGov, participate. I do have a question for an XGov. We got about 3 days. So what are the requirements? Like how many algos do we have to commit to become an XGov? What's the process like if we commit those algos and we don't vote as an ex-governor? What kind of happens?
Well, you get just one Algorand makes you an ex-gov. The issue with just putting one algo in is just you won't have much voting power. That's it. So, but you can put as much as a little as long as you start with one. And even if you don't put one algo in and become an ex-gov, you still can go on the forum.algorand.org and still give your opinion. So you don't even have to put an algo in or any money in, but you can still benefit from the conversation. So there's literally no excuse on why you can't give your opinion, because there's a lot of change that needs to happen, and it starts with the community, and it's going to end with the community as well.
Yeah, and
Oh,
to an
nice.
extent, I also think that the barrier for entry, right, into being an XGov is we got to get regular governance back up. You know, governance from Algo, people are not participating in it as much as they were when it first kicked off, and I think that is because there was some saltiness, there was some,
Mhm.
part of the community that was upset with how governance is being done and those changes are being made. But we got to get people back into just wanting to commit their algos either to vanilla governance, which is going to the actual website and signing the transaction. Obviously your algo is not leaving your wallet, and then making those votes just to kind of get yourself familiar. Or if it's using DeFi like a Messina, which is just staking minting M algo, or a Folks Finance, staking minting G algo, and doing it that way. We got to get people excited about actually wanting to govern the future of Algorand. And I think it's going to come with it when prices start to run again. I think the biggest part of that was a lot of people saw how much money could be made in the bull run with locking up that algo for that period, being a part of it,
Mhm.
and seeing the rewards. And I think some people, to an extent, are finding better ways to make yield outside of just governance, right? So I think it's a big thing to get people back in. And I love what Messina is doing as well. From my standpoint, Messina works well for me because I like to just put it in there, mint it. And I like this last period, right? I had my M algo. It's still sitting in my wallet. I didn't have to unstake it at the end of the period to claim my rewards. My rewards have already updated. I didn't have to restake it. So there's no transactions going on there. I'm not having to burn or do anything like that. And at the end of the day, also, I don't have a tax event because I'm not trading, back and forth. I'm able to just literally let it sit and grow. So if you're holding algo passively, obviously, there is still risk, right? I'm not going to say it's risk free because anything in DeFi is,
Mhm.
Messina's been audited and whatnot, but we've seen things that have been audited before that have still been hacked. So you do have to take that into consideration. But if you're just holding it passively, check in an M-Algo. It's a great tool that Algorand just came out with to compete with something like a Folks Finance or just vanilla governance to get boosted rewards. And I'll say from my experience, the rewards have been nice. I'm excited to hopefully see them add the addition to be able to vote and do things like that so they can get their users more active. But that, to me, it's like
Well,
we got to
you
start at
can
square
vote.
one.
You can vote.
Yeah. Oh, you can.
Voting is
Okay.
actually
And
on there. Yep, yep. I
okay.
voted last time. Yep.
Nice. And so, but
Nice.
that's the whole thing, is like we just got to get people back to wanting to use governance. Cause I'll be honest, this past period was the first time I got back into Algorand governance for a while. I was in the first like 3 or 4,
Yeah.
and then I was out from like 5 until 9, and I just got back in governance 9. So, and I think that might be for a decent bit of the community. It may start to roll back in as we get more bullish on Algorand's future and people actually want to govern it. Because I think for a while, people thought Algorand was dead. It's like, why do I want to govern a
Dead
dead
chain.
chain? And I'm not saying that we really thought it was dead, but like the bear
Yep.
market sucked. Like we just got to be honest with where we were at. Morale was at an all-time low. You still had, all the builders now, some of them even going and building a fork. I'm not gonna say it's not a fork. I know Voy, and wanting to do it their own way, right? And so it's been through a lot. But I think as we come out on the other side, and as Algorand continues to grow and people get that true bullish nature back of what Algorand can do, at that point, I think you're gonna want to see people wanting to be ex govs because they actually want to control the future of where it's going. Because then they're gonna have more money invested.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like this right now is an Algorand governance therapy episode, the second half.
Oh,
I
yeah,
tell you,
I
man.
like to give a shout out to Stitch, Deshaun, Lobo, Simon, for adding their contribution. I've seen a couple as well. I saw Kirby on there this morning. I saw a couple other people I can't even remember off the top of my head, but just a shout out to everybody that's trying to improve, trying to give their 2 cents in. Like I said, it doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong. Just either like something or reply to something. That's all we need. This is the momentum
Mhm.
that we need going into 2024 of being part of the community. And if you're part of this Algorand community that's stuck in Discord, which is an awesome place to be, a lot of fun. But step out of the Discord and jump on to Twitter or jump on to the forum and let everybody know how big this community is, because people don't think that we're a huge community, but we're a large community. We're kind of spread out a little bit everywhere.
Yep.
And we have some of the best platforms, some of the smartest devs, some of the smartest NFT creators, some of the smartest people running this chain. As if we work together and pushing the envelope, man, it's going to be an amazing the next 2 years, whether it's a little bit volatile in the overall market or not.
I agree. Well said. Well said. Anyone else got any last, closing words or shout outs to make before we close out this episode here?
Nah, I think for me it's obviously
Black
Fractal
Gold.
Monsters. There we go.
Let's
Love that
go.
game.
Let's go.
But
Yep.
there's a lot to be excited about in the market. I would just, my last bit of advice is, calm those that excitement, that FOMO that you're probably going to feel over the next few weeks, months, whatever it may be. Keep a cool head, stay calm, stay collected, and be watching for those opportunities to make that money, but don't risk everything. Don't bet everything on the house, because house always wins. So be smart.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you don't have
Bitcoin ETF. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you don't have at least 5 NFT domains separately, GG's.
They just dropped their, I know we don't have time to cover it, but they just dropped their roadmap for 2024 just at 108. So just right when we started the show. So I haven't read it yet. I have to go read and see what they're up to, but they are a huge sponsor of our show. And if you don't have an NF domain, you should have an NF domain, because it makes sending crypto on Algorand so much easier when you don't have to, go find that entirely super long list of numbers and letters, and you can just say cfc.algo.
I think they added just so now where the opt-in problem was hindering people from getting into Algo for whatever reason from other blockchains. I think NFT vaults, they solved that, where now you can drop off crypto without having to be opted in, and then be able to receive that. So they fixed it. Yeah, great platform.
Yeah, that is one of the things that even with Solana and some of the other chains that I know will pop, this will be the last thing I say, but the reason why those ecosystems pop, and the reason why people are hella excited about AVAX and Solana and Ethereum and layer 2s and all this other crap, airdrops, free money from these platforms getting dropped in people's wallets. Guys, there are people who became millionaires in the last cycle from airdrops alone. And Algorand, it's just hard. That was not a thing. You had to opt in. It was a whole ordeal to get people free money, in a way, free money, because and I'm thinking for the future, this is bullish, because I'm looking at something like Folks airdropping and doing something, Tiny Man with the tiny coin that'll probably drop from, and all the users who've been adding LP and all the stuff there. It's like, that's what brings in tons of people, is when people have been in a system for so long and they're rewarded by a new token and gives them some, extra liquidity. So that is something super bullish.
My last thing would be, just don't geo-block us, because I lost a lot of Cosmos airdrops from being geo-blocked, so I missed them all. So if y'all in any other country, shout out to y'all, but help us in the US. We want the money, crypto money too.
Facts.
Yeah. So all right, thank you, y'all. Episode 90 with Rich Flair. Make sure y'all give him a follow on Twitter. We talk about governance, a whole bunch of things. Shout out to the Gary Gensler helping out with the Bitcoin ETF. And then until next week, y'all, make sure y'all like and subscribe and share with a friend. We out.
Yep. See everybody.